Good evening, and welcome to the Instruction Committee. All right, I've been given a million pieces of paper here. So, today is Monday, December 1st, 2025, and we will begin the Instruction Committee at 5:31 p.m. We have an agenda before us. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we pass the agenda.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I move the committee adopt the agenda presented with the addition of the review of the proposed calendars, those, for the 2026-27 and 2027 through 28 school years.
I second that. Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. Dr. Hummer?
All right, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. We have a series of items for you this evening, with 4 of them we're recommending to go to the full board for approval. First up is we have a review of our CTE pathways. We're very excited to hear Mr. Bishop and present those pathways to us in regards to the different opportunities that our students have while they are working through these programs in our schools. We also have our first action item, which is a program of studies update. We've had conversations with our staff, partnerships, and other constituents, and we would like to make a recommendation for some changes and adjustments to our program of studies, which we are right on time in order to make that adjustment. We're also then going to review our secondary transition planning. We're going to review that for you. That is just for information, as well as the restraint and seclusion policy. And then the last 2 items are up for your approval to go to the full board for adoption, which is the draft calendars for 26-27 and 27-28. You tasked us to come back with some additional information in regards to classified staff, which we were able to do that. And then we are going to ask you to send those to the full board for December 16th for your approval. And then we also had the opportunity to move forward 2 amazing student reps for the school board. We conducted interviews, and we have a recommendation for the student rep as well as the alternate that is up for your consideration to go to the full board. So with that, Mr. Chair, I will hand it over to Mrs. Knight unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hummer.
All right, and good evening, members of the board. And Mr. Chair, of course, welcome back from what I hope was a lovely Thanksgiving break with your families. My team and I are excited about the opportunity anytime we get to share highlights or just information about instruction. So we'll begin this evening with Mr. Bishop and our CTE Pathways and Partnerships.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. We'll start out pretty quickly with just talking about what we have for course offerings in the county. We have 86 high school offerings and 17 middle school.
Speak a little louder into
Oh,
the
yes, ma'am.
mic
I'm
there.
sorry. Is that better?
You can move it up too if you need to.
Move the podium.
This? You got me. I don't know how to do that. Electronics. I should know this. I don't, you tell me, is it better now? Keep going. 1, check 2, 3,
That's better.
check.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right, thank you so much. Sorry, sir. Okay, so we have 86 course offerings that you'll see in our program of studies. Now, we've had to take out the co-ops, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. We have 17 courses that we offer in the middle school. Our career and technical student organizations are very strong here in Frederick County. We have them listed for you as DECA, Diversified Economic Clubs of America, Educators Rising, FBLA, FCCLA, HOSA, Skills USA, TSA, and then at the middle school we have FBLA, FFA at TSA, and also FFA at the high school. Members of the school board, and most of us already seen the wheel. You should have a copy of that, a hard copy. Ms. DeSantis has that. There's also a link on the program if you need to look at it that way, because you cannot really read it as it sits.
Mr. Bishop, you may have to speak up just a tad bit more
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that the audio can be captured since it's being
Okay.
recorded. Thank you.
Sorry, folks. It's a poor frog won't croak for his own pond, I guess. It's moving forward, so we'll talk about that wheel. That's an advanced CTE thing that just came out in the last couple of years. It used to be 17 career clusters, now we have 14. And then we have the large clusters that are purpose-driven meta sectors that help guide young people, as you can see, towards that things that they're aligned with their interest, their sense of purpose, and the community impact they might have. Then we have 14 actual career clusters, and those are industry sectors defined by groupings from Standard Occupational Classification, North American Industry Classification System codes, and then we have 72 subclusters. Now, those are your major groupings of career areas within a given field that have similar skills as defined by industry areas. Then you look and see there's something called a cross-cutting cluster up to the right, upper right side of the wheel. And those are based on both sector-specific and contextualized functions instead of the purely discrete industry sectors. They both have subclusters and implications for courses taken in all other career areas. So basically, if I'm taking a course in digital graphics, I can transfer that into another area, right? I don't have to specifically say, okay, I'm going into digital graphics for the rest of my life. I can do it in every other business that comes along. 12 career-ready practices built on a meta-analysis of 30 different listings. These represent the skills that students need to succeed in the modern workplace. And as we know, that workplace has changed. So 20 years ago, we had no idea some of the jobs that we would be looking at today. 20 years from now, we'll look back and say, my goodness, they actually did that. And what are we going to do next? So our job is to prepare students for what comes next, and I think with our CTE programs, we're on a good place to do that. A career pathway, as you know, is a series of courses that prepare a student for a career field, and we have sequences in our schools that prepare students to do that. So you'll have to take a prerequisite course, then you finish up with a completer course. Okay. In our industry credentials, we have a very strong industry credential program. We have licensing, of course, so the licensing is something you have to have determined by the state. It's state issued. If you're going into a specific occupation, I'll use cosmetology as an example, okay? You got to have that state issued license. Industry certifications, I can get an industry certification in Autodesk, Revit, or CAD, something that's actually going to do that I'll be using in a different position, maybe out in the world of work, wherever I go, I could use an internship. But we say that that validates the essential skills that we've taught students so that they can enter a particular occupation or the workforce in general. And then we have occupational competency assessments, things like workplace readiness skills testing, WISE financial literacy types of things. When we talk about high-quality work-based learning, those are school-coordinated workplace experiences related to the student's goals and or their interest. We've integrated with instruction, performed in partnership with local businesses and organizations. This is where we drop off the co-op classes because the state has told us that co-ops are no longer viable. We can't use them for credit, so we got some ways around that too. These are our Virginia aligned program areas. Of course, you always have ag, architecture, construction, business, information technology, family consumer sciences, health and medical sciences, marketing, education, technology, engineering, education, transportation, distribution, and logistics. And we're fairly strong in these areas, but we do have some work to do, and with Dr. Humber's guidance and some work with some of our partners out in the community, we're going to establish some things here that I think you'll find exciting. These are common offerings by cluster and pathway through our 3 high schools. And these are offered within all of our Frederick County Public School high schools. Agriculture, education, advanced marketing, or manufacturing. You get a look at those, and so we talk about our program areas. We're covering all of them. We have family, consumer sciences, technology, and engineering education, of course, agriculture, food, natural resources. We also do business and information technology, marketing, and then health and medical sciences are included in these common offerings throughout the 3 high schools. Then we have some that are unique within certain high schools. And some of these you'll see are offered at a school, but they may be offered every other year, and that's going to be based on availability of teachers and the interest for that particular course. You can look at landscaping here. We have that at Sharando and James Wood, but we don't have it at Millbrook. All right. Fisheries, wildlife management, Sharando only. You can see, again, they're based on what we have as far as sequencing, and then what we have for teacher availability. And you'll see here, engineering, we have it at James Wood and Millbrook, but we don't have that course at Sharando.
Quick question for
Yes,
you,
sir.
if I may interrupt.
Yes, sir.
We were just noticing that Millbrook doesn't appear on the agriculture list very much, and I'm just wondering what the reason behind that is. Is it instructors? Is
Yes,
it
sir.
space? Or
Yeah, generally instruction and what we have available and the sequencing that they're following at that school.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. So other things here, like in the program area, marketing, we got that at James Wood, and what you might see is these courses. We will have marketing at every school, but we might have specific courses at a school.
Understood.
Okay.
Can I just ask
Yes,
a
sir.
follow-up question?
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm sorry if this is, if it's a little bit too much in the weeds, Dr. Hummer, you might know more. Is there any, I don't know if this is something that we need to address as a team, but it seems like there's some disparity between that first slide and this one, where we didn't see Millbrook at all in the agriculture offerings, and here we don't see Sharando much at all in digital technology. Would that be different if the snapshot was a year from now? Is this just because of a rotation these classes are on, or is it a deeper problem with a lack of staffing and resources?
I would say it's a combination of all the above, and I think that's what we're currently taking a look at in regards to our deep dive into our venture into specialized programs.
Yes.
Because we are seeing that we're trying to have a uniform offering at each of our schools, but once we start to branch off away from there, that's where we are noticing those disparities. Because if you talk to our administrators at each school, they are very attuned to this, and it comes down to student interest, it comes down to teacher availability, and it comes down to space. So when you have those areas that are significantly impacting, like you're seeing, and that's why we wanted you to see this, that there is disparities all across the three high schools, and once we build the fourth, I believe with the new space and with the direction we're going in, we're not going to have those issues to remove those opportunities for kids. Because a lot of the times you're going to have students that are interested, but if it's not at a certain number, then they don't add that particular program. I don't like that. If you have 5 students that want to take agriculture at Millbrook, we want to be able to offer that. So that's one of the things that we're currently taking a look at. So it's a multitude of variables there.
So just as a follow-up, even I realize after January, it could be a completely different conversation when it comes to funding and approval, but is there something that we need to do as a board to support your ability to offer these things uniformly across all 3 schools? Do you need more resources? Do we need more staff, or is it we just can't find people to fill the positions that we already have?
So right now it's more space, and secondly it's finding the people to fill these positions. So I would say, based on our conversation that we had in October, and I thank the whole board for allowing us to add into the budget priority CTE, because that is the direction we are going into, providing those opportunities for our students so they are prepared. I believe we are on the right track to continue to add these things on. So like you just said, you all support that because it's in your budget priorities, and that is something that we are continuously working on. It is going to come down to budget, and it is going to come down to space, but we are getting there, and we are on the right track, and we greatly appreciate that support. Yeah. Thank you. And Ms. Knight, is there anything you wanted to add there?
No, I think you said it well, Dr. Hummer, but I will underscore, this is really exploratory information for you and us. This was our opportunity to really audit our programs and to get our hands around what is happening across all three sites. Our plan is, as Dr. Hummer shared, to reevaluate our program really through 3 lenses. Student interest is one of those lenses. Looking at our programs through the VDOE's identified high interest and high wage programs and kind of use that to triangulate what we will be offering as a standard program across all 3 sites and eventually all 4 sites. So we'll be taking a look at enrollment numbers, student interest numbers, and things like that, and then we're going to work through this with the high school leadership to right-size it all together. So just a starting point in the conversation.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm wondering if there's any way that you could kind of consolidate, like, say there's 5 students at Millbrook that want to take something at James Wood. Is there any way that they could be taken to James Wood to do that?
Right now, currently, we use Dow J as our space where we are allowing students to operate in an additional CTE programming. Depending on the outcome from our high school specialty center proposal, that could render itself to be a possibility. If we choose to do kind of an inter-school experience, right now the vision is that each of the high schools may have its own thematic program.
Sure.
And that students would make that decision early on and that would become their base school, but that may or may not get approved. We're still working through that proposal. So the answer is it possible? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just looking at the interim.
Oh, in the interim?
In other words, until maybe you could get to that point, so that these students won't be in a lack. They can take what they want to take and feel that they need to take.
So what I would add to that, Ms. Martin, is absolutely, but the problem of us not building a 4th high school when it was supposed to be built, I think we are seeing those issues carry out across numerous levels. So sure, we can transport those students to another school, but those programs are full. Right? So yes, you have Millbrook that might have 4 or 5 students that want that program, but it's full at James Wood. It's full at Sharando. We're full across the board. We're at 120% capacity across the board, and we don't have space for these programs. So it is a major detriment to our students, and we're trying to play catch up. So I think what we were saying is absolutely in the interim, are there things we can do? Sure, we do have Dal J. We do have other ways we're trying to be creative. But the problem isn't just taking these students and moving over to 2 schools. We're overcrowded at all 3 sites. So we're on the right track. We're very thankful for getting this 4th high school approved, but it's been years of delaying it, and we're seeing that impact us significantly across the board. So anyways, we're getting there, and there's other things that we can do, but we're full across the board.
Okay, so like one thing maybe that we could do, if they don't need to be there in person, is to do it online, feed it into.
Potentially, yeah, we can look into that. But again, that capability is not something that we're currently set up to doing, which costs money and it costs staffing. So it's things we can definitely look into, but it's also not something that's ideal, especially when you're talking about
Sure.
a CTE program, when you're doing more hands-on, sure, more of the theoretical and more of the information getting, but when you're actually doing hands-on, and that's what CTE is. It's
Right.
it's the actual exploratory of working and manipulating things. It's going to be a little bit more complicated to do that virtually. So absolutely we could do that, but again, there's just some barriers that we have to get through. And again, I just want to share that we're on the right track, but that we're seeing that there is an impact across the board in regards to the delay of that building of that 4th high school.
And I would say, ma'am, that Dr. Hummer and Mrs. Knight, Ms. Swager are providing fantastic leadership and materials, workmanship, everything for me to make these programs better. Right? The programs are good now. We just want to incrementally change them to make them great till we get there. Right? But we are looking at all that. We're working on it, and I believe we'll get there. The goal is that our students get what they need, not what somebody else somewhere else thinks they need, right? But what we know that our students need to succeed in life, that's my goal, is to get it to them. And through the leadership we have here, I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than later. And I hope that helps, ma'am. Unique offerings here at Dowell J. You got health and medical sciences, hospitality, tourism, IT, public safety. Continuing on, of course, with supply chain transportation, we have our auto body, auto tech, carpentry classes, digital technology we have there, take the STEM and the data science. And these are just some examples of what students can do, what the certifications they can take, get credentials to move into the workforce or to go into school. I taught my own children CAD, right? Every one of them hated it, and 3 of the 4 are using it.
Or what?
Computer-aided drawing, drafting, CAD.
Oh, CAD.
Yes, ma'am. And they're all using it, right? They hated it while they were in school. I'll never use this, and now that's what they do. So it's pretty interesting to watch what students think about classes and then how they end up utilizing what we teach them and what we give them. Same thing here with education, administration, leadership, different things they can do, the credentialing options that we can provide, and then the HQ work-based, high-quality work-based learning, so we can do internships, externships, mentorships. These are some examples of high-demand, high-wage positions and the growth that we're going to see or are seeing right now. Construction is another one for our skilled trades, and by all means, this is not just the only thing they can do. It's just an example of what's possible. Advanced manufacturing here too. You take an Autodesk certified professional exam, you pass any of those, and those count toward our 3E program. All right, so as far as our scoring goes. Again, the high demand, high wage architectural and engineering managers, we see a big growth there and starting out at about 133,000. Okay. When we look at the supply chain, talking about maintenance and repair, we have ASC certifications, and we're looking at internships and apprenticeships there. When we talk about high-quality work-based learning, these are things that participation in these experiences, they require strong student interest and commitment, and you have to have consistent effort in order to make them work. The state has taken, we used to have 12 work-based learning experiences that we could use for credit for our school system, and they've taken that down to 6. Those are listed for you and what we're doing with them. Clinicals and internships, school-based enterprises. These are things that we can work and that we are working with. I have Miss Emily Roy as our work-based learning coordinator doing a fantastic job of setting up these experiences for the students. These 3, job shadowing, mentorships, and externships, are still available. They just don't count for us as far as credit goes towards 3E. Is that correct? Okay. So once again, we have 86 courses, multiple clusters and pathways that students can follow, credential testing alignment with all of our courses, and potential areas of growth would be aerospace, civil air patrol, junior ROTC, and additional engineering courses. Any questions?
I would love to see what types of engineering courses that you are looking at to add. I know systems engineering is one of the newer engineering.
Yes, sir.
And that is one of the fastest growing engineering fields that we have. And
Yes, sir.
Perhaps that's something that we could look into, providing some entry level.
Yes, sir. I think George Mason provides a degree in that. Actually, I had a friend of mine who was a Navy captain,
Yes.
and that was his forte, was systems analysis. So
Yep, Tech does too. My son is
Yes, sir.
currently majoring in that. So
outstanding. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great field.
it is,
Yes, sir.
and it's applicable to many different other
Yes.
types of fields.
Absolutely.
Very versatile.
Yes, sir. 100%.
Thank you very much. Is
yes,
there
sir.
any questions from anyone?
There's one thing I'd like to just say.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to see more of a space in the judicial system. I don't
Criminal
know.
justice, ma'am? Is that what you're asking?
It says judicial systems, public service and safety. I don't know if it's taught or not, but I would greatly recommend that our students are made aware of their potential ability to help shape their community by being grassroots politicians.
Okay. All right. I think we can throw that in there. I don't see any reason why we can't. Because it isn't as part of the cluster.
It's important for them to
Yes, ma'am.
learn what they can do as a citizen.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
not be a politician.
100%. I agree with you. Absolutely.
As a civics teacher, I concur.
Thank you. Anything else with that part? And then we'll move into some program of study issues. Okay? All right. So as Dr. Hummer said, we got a couple updates. What we'd like to have as an addition is Aerospace Technology 1 and 2. You can see where we have a mounting skill shortage in the aviation field, pilots, technicians, drone operators. Practically all of our occupations are using drones to some extent now, whether it's civil engineering or aviation, the military. They're all using them just in different ways. But you can see that we estimate 600,000 new pilots is what we need, 700,000 new technicians. So we're, and the airframes and power plants technicians are something that we're in dire need of. If you been watching the news, you saw that Dulles is planning a tremendous expansion. And that's something that we're looking at as far as having our students prepared to move into at least the jobs, right? I want to keep them living here, but sometimes if we can't provide that position right off the bat, at least they can, an hour away, they have that job. Okay. The budget impact is $16,000 per school, which is roughly putting in a Redbird TD2 flight simulator. So it has its own seat. It has 3 screens. It's not that top of the line $60,000 model, which is enclosed, but it is very good. I recently put 17 of those into Loudoun County, and the classes are great. The kids love them, and the instructors are having a great time, and you get seat time out of these, right? So if we were to just buy a flight simulator like Microsoft and put it on a desktop, well, you can use that, but you can't get anything out of it. It's just fun, right? With Redbirds, you get seat time, right? Ground school stuff. So it's a really good deal. 1 credit, no prerequisite on that. And then we're looking at Aerospace Tech 2. This is where you get to your more advanced mathematics. Really not a big budget impact because we've already purchased the TD2s. Put them in, and then you're just looking at consumables for the Aerospace 2.
Just one
Yes, sir.
kind of question about the prerequisites. So for our kiddos who get a jump start in advanced math and are already taking geometry in 8th grade, are we limiting them at all by making this a 10 and 11 and 12, an 11 and 12 offering? I mean, what is the chance that you end up having a kid or multiple kids are math whizzes? I can barely spell geometry, let alone do it. But these kids can do amazing things with math. Is that too limiting for them?
Well, it's basically predicated by VDOE as to what level we're going to do.
I see.
That's the grade level that we have through the state saying this is where we are. When we go into if we wanted a student if they wanted to get a pilot's license, right? You got to be 16 years old before you can solo, but you got to be 17 before you can get licensed as a pilot, right? Mm-hmm. So I think this is just it's a good step to introduce into the county, and let's see where it goes.
And that's kind of that's the question about alignment I think that I'm having. If you go back one slide to Aerospace Technology 1,
Yes, sir.
If we're not going to let a kid take that until the year that they turn 16, which is their 10th grade year, for at least from some of the kids who were later birthdays, do we limit too many kids by making this 10, 11, and 12 and not opening it up to freshmen?
Well, we'll have to determine whether or not this is a recommendation in terms of a prerequisite grade level from BDOE or a requirement. If we can double check, that'd be great.
So this is just a matter of whether we want to adopt something that VDOE has already got on the books?
Well, they outline the courses that we are permitted to install in our school division. So
Okay.
we didn't create the course.
Got it. That was kind of my question is this something that it's an all or nothing proposition?
I'm sorry, Dr. Erskine, can you clarify all
Yeah,
or nothing?
So would we just be adopting like the whole package, like the grade levels, prerequisites, credits, budget?
Yes, if it's a VDOE course, yes. This would be what they've recommended in terms of grade levels. I just need to check with George and determine whether or not it's required that we not enter this course until 10th grade. If there are any other prerequisites that 10th graders would have to take in order to enter aerospace.
Got it.
And I will be happy to follow up.
And,
Dr.
and
Harris?
along those same lines, actually, I'm wondering if the students at the Governor's School would have access to some of these new courses, because they may have interest in aerospace technology 1 and 2, given that it's brand new and it is in the field of some of what they're probably interested in. So,
Well, I can speak to that. So all of our courses are available to any student.
students.
With the Governor School program, as you know, being on that board, it is a very, very rigorous program.
They do?
Right? And if the student is able to access that program and take the courses that are available to all students, then absolutely we're going to allow those students to do that. Just based on the level of access that they currently have to Laurel Ridge and to these different pathways, a lot of times those students don't, not because they can or not allowed, it's just because they have so many opportunities at Laurel Ridge through the Governor School program.
Sure.
So these courses are available to all of our students that are there. It's just, can they fit it into their schedule? Because it's a lot.
no, absolutely. And I guess maybe I was alluding to the fact that maybe we should look at, or if we can look at, some of these types of courses available to the Governor's School, like to incorporate it into their courses of study.
Yeah, I mean, we can bring it up to the board because
Yeah.
it's led by that board, but yeah, we can bring that up to them.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I know somebody that sits on it.
I do as well. Did you have a response? I'm sorry,
I
Mr.
did,
Chair, to
yeah.
the prerequisites.
Dr. Erskine, so I've been doing this, I taught Aerospace Tech 1 and 2 for about 25 years, and 4 different divisions. No one has ever had a student from the 9th grade in one of these classes. You know, it's always been 10, 11, 12, right? So you have that completer sequence. Yeah. Certainly, we can always look at it. Okay. And I will, that you brought it up. I'll go back and
More
talk to
curiosity than
VDOE.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it is great. Okay. All righty. Then we have a change. This is nurse aide. VDOE changed nurse aide from 1 and 2 just to nurse aide. And so we're only offering this 1 credit. It really has no budget impact, but it has just been combined under VDOE's guidance and direction. And there's really nothing we can do about that. But it is a change for us.
So this is completely from the Department of Education, Virginia?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Okay. Do you
All
need
right.
that, sir? All right.
So that brings us to our recommended motions. Are there any last questions or comments for our speaker today? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So I move that the committee forward to the full board the request to add the courses of Aerospace Technologies 1 and Aerospace Technologies 2 to the program of studies for the 2025-26 school year with the recommendation of approval.
Mr. Chair, I think there might be a typo in our motion list. It's 26, 27.
Oh,
You
you're
wanna
right.
Amend your motion.
I did. I will amend it. So I'll rescind my motion. Yes? So I now move that, thank you. I now move that the committee forward to the full board the request to add the courses of Aerospace Technologies 1 and Aerospace Technologies 2 to the program of studies for the 2026-2027 school year with the recommendation of approval.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Second motion, I move that the committee forward to the full board the request to combine the Nurse Aid 1 course and the Nurse Aid 2 course as required by the VDOE for program of studies for the 2026-2027 school year with the recommendation of approval.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And that brings up secondary transition planning.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. At this time, I'm going to invite Mr. Joe Strong, our Director of Student Support Services, here on Jonathan Farringer's behalf to talk through secondary transition planning, which we've been meeting as a committee for months as we work to update that process. And so Mr. Strong's here to shed some light on some of those new updates and just to provide some insight into how we prepare our families and our students for the transition between 5th grade to 6th grade and between 8th grade to 9th grade. Thank you. You're welcome.
Good evening, board members. Thank you. I'm presenting again on behalf of Mr. Farringer. He wasn't able to be here this evening. So we just want to talk a little bit about the secondary transition planning. We have been working, as Ms. Knight said, with a group of individuals from schools and central level to talk about what that transition looks like from elementary to middle and from middle to high. Mr. Farringer has worked in collaboration with school counselors and school administrators as well. And so we just want to kind of share some of that information with you. As we're going to start with elementary to middle school transition planning. So most of these plans, you will see, these plans will look the same between elementary to middle and middle to high. The goal really is to help prepare students and parents for that transition from elementary, middle, and middle to high, and then to partner with students and parents so they are aware of the opportunities provided by FCPS. So part of that includes communication, which will occur this month, parent nights, and so at the middle school level, Mr. Farringer has prepared a slideshow for middle school staff to share with all parents. So all parents across all middle schools are getting the same presentation. And so that will have the core content areas, you see there, elective options, and the scheduling process and information along with who to contact should they have questions. Middle school counselors along with elementary school counselors will meet with students in February to begin planning out what those 5th graders, the courses 5th graders would like to take in 6th grade. They'll discuss that program of study so they're aware of what options are available to them. The middle school counselors and elementary school counselors will register those students for those courses, and those course requests will be sent to families for approval in March. And we're looking to transition all that to an electronic process, so parents will get an email. They'll be able to see those course requests and approve that electronically as well. So you'll see the middle to high school transition looks nearly identical as far as communication goes with families. That will start in December. Parent nights, they have the same information. High school counselors will have a presentation as well of what they need to include. And then we're also involving those content area coordinators in those presentations so parents can be informed of those options as well and get more information on that. So again, those elective options will be available. The scheduling process and information will be available for parents in that presentation as well. And then high school counselors will visit middle schools in January to February to talk about the program of studies and register students for courses. We're going to try to move all of 9th grade to an electronic registration process, with 10th through 12th coming online a little bit later just because of some different challenges with course offerings there. But again, that course request sent to families in March for approval, that will be electronic for them to be able to approve the courses their students are taking. This is just a recap of what was shared. Again, with that same timeline, you'll see the same thing for elementary to middle, and from middle to high follows that same timeline with the big piece of information that we're really trying to just get information out there consistently across all of our schools at those levels so parents are aware of what offerings are out there for students.
Any questions from the board? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Strong. At this time, I will invite our Assistant Director of Special Instructional Services up, Ms. Kylan Kaufman, to talk very quickly through the restraint and seclusion policy.
It's appropriate that Dr. Hummer is the image on there.
Good evening. Every year, we're required to review our restraint and seclusion policy and provide any recommended updates to the board. This current policy was written in 2020 with input from the school board, our Special Education Advisory Council, our department, as well as legal counsel, and approved in January of 2021. While presented by Special Instructional Services, it is a policy that applies to all students within Frederick County. And so So at this time, other than just to review the policy, we have no recommended updates.
Okay. Any
And I
que-
forgot to change the slides.
That's
so.
okay. Any questions from the board? All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if Dr. Erskine
Thank
has-
you.
Did you have a question?
No, I was just reading off the
Okay.
slide.
Sorry.
No, no.
I'm playing the squinting game because I left my glasses on my desk, sorry.
Just want to make sure we got your questions.
Dr. Erskine, are you okay?
I'm good. Good to
Okay,
go.
just wanted to make sure I didn't advance the slide too
No,
quickly.
you're good.
Okay, well, thank you. At this time, our Assistant Superintendent of Administration is going to come up and talk through the calendar draft process again with a recommendation.
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity to present this and share some information with you. So as you can see, we had a conversation with a wide range of stakeholders to gather input on the calendar committee, and then we followed that up and reviewed area calendars, instructional time requirements, and provided an open feedback link to solicit feedback. And we followed that up by scheduling 6 sessions. However, we only needed 2 sessions to come to a consensus with our committee, which we were very proud of. We moved forward and we provided 2 draft calendars for each year, which you have in front of you. And essentially what I would tell you is the difference between those 2 calendars are having a long President's Day weekend and then having Good Friday off. The additional information that I would share with you is that the way that we put forth our recommendation was really just looked at feedback from our staff, and the feedback outweighed that they wanted the 4-day weekend on President's Day weekend, and we were good with that, and so we presented that to the superintendent and then ultimately have that recommendation for you. I do know there was some questions last time about what school nutrition's staff's responsibility were on non-school days, so we provide this graphic to provide that to you. So at the start of the school year, you can see through that and talk about, kind of read through and see the different responsibilities, but essentially it's getting ready for the school year, preparing food, making sure that our kitchens are ready to serve kids. In the middle of the year, when we have a couple of days off, we take a little bit of a pause there to make sure that we have our training in place and it's updated and that we're ready to continue to provide food in a safe manner. Then as we wrap up the school year, we look at a real good deep kitchen clean. We close down the kitchen for the year. We value the inventory as required. And then just generally make sure that before we leave that the kitchen's in good order and good repair. And if not, place those work orders in with our facility services department so we make sure that those things get taken care of over the summer months. So with that, I'll pause for a moment of questions and we provide you with a recommended motion here.
Mr. Chair, can I add one more thing?
Yes.
Okay, so one other piece of historical information is back in 2011, we can think back that far, there was a statewide waiver that allowed school divisions to start prior to Labor Day. And I don't know if you guys are aware of the historical reference to that. It was the King's Dominion rule. So there was a state code that was published back during that time period that did not allow school divisions to start prior to Labor Day. Well, there was a state code that said you can, but there were certain requirements that you had to meet. One of those requirements was that you can only start up to 14 days, so if you can't start further than that, and that you also had to have the Friday off that was preceding Labor Day. And for the most part, most school divisions followed that, but then they recognized that with the shifting of Labor Day, that sometimes it was a little bit more than 14 days, so there was a waiver that was essentially given to 80 school divisions across the Commonwealth, with us being one of those school divisions. Every year, and Mrs. Jordan and I were as well as Mr. Thompson were looking at this earlier today to make sure that we were double checking our references here. Every year through the budget process, they approve to uphold that waiver, and it's in the budget process through the General Assembly, which they have approved this year and next year. So we'll have to continue to monitor that, because with these next 2 calendars, we actually start 16 days prior because of where Labor Day starts this year. Typically, Labor Day has been the last weekend of August. This year, it's now the first weekend in September. That's just how Labor Day fell, so we just have to make sure that we're cognizant of that. The main reason we're bringing that up is in case you hear from somebody or somebody is very cognizant of that code. We don't want somebody trying to call us out on that we are ahead of that and that we do fall within that waiver. I also want to reiterate that we are well within the requirements of the 990 hours, so we do provide our students with that educational environment. It does not impact that, just that we start earlier in the year. The main reason that we do start earlier in the year is to have that natural break in the school year. So when students go home on that winter holiday, they come back with the start of the second semester. So just so that you guys are aware that there is not a requirement we start before Labor Day. It is a strong recommendation, which can be adjusted. But I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that, because with both of these drafts, we do start more than those 14-day allotment, but we're part of that waiver. So, if there's any questions?
Thank you, Dr.
Absolutely. Yep.
Are there any questions? Okay. So the recommended motion is that I move the committee forward draft 1 for school year 26-27 as presented, and draft 1 for school year 27-28 as presented to the full board for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It's presented to the full board.
All right, and thank you so much. I am pleased at this time to bring forward a recommendation for our first ever student school board representatives. This has really been an exciting process as we work really hard and diligently as a division to elevate student voice, to capture student perspective, and this rigorous application process has resulted in the names and recommendations of 2 students that we'd like to bring forward. So I really appreciate the board's insight, willingness, and the idea of embracing this change in how we look at our governance structure and how we embed student voice in that governance structure, especially when we're making decisions that impact their overall educational future. So with that said, here was our process. 5 students were interviewed with a committee of 7. That committee included our 1 high school assistant principal, a teacher, our director of secondary schools, and the clerk of the board, and of course our superintendent. Interviews were held on Monday, November 24th. And outside of that rigorous interview process, students also submitted an application that was thorough, their resumes, as well as they were required to participate in at least 1 board meeting prior to participating in an interview. So with that said, I have some recommendations today that I'm going to let Dr. Hummer then go ahead and weigh in on. But thank you again for the opportunity to bring this really special leadership opportunity to our school district for students.
Yes, so as Mrs. Knight so eloquently presented to you all, we had a wide range of individuals that came forward through the interview process, and it was a very tough process. We have some really outstanding students, as we know, and it really came down to just a couple points in regards to who we are making a recommendation for your approval. And just to talk through a little bit of a timeline, we have the 2 recommendations for you this evening. We do have their resumes. If you do want to take a look at those here, you can review those. And then we are also going to have an orientation on January 13th, where we are inviting the board. We're going to invite the individuals and their parents, as well as the principals from their school. We'll have some refreshments. We'll go over a little mini presentation, and then we'll go ahead and kick off their first meeting on January 20th. Now, I know there were some questions in regards to their involvement and what they will actually be doing, and they will be connecting with the 3 high schools in gathering information from those students. It'll be either in self-led research studies. It'll be information that you all would like to see. They will be meeting with me monthly, so we will be talking about some things that they will be diving into and looking at, as well as what those presentations will look like every board meeting. They will be required to present to you during my soup report about a 3 to 5 minute presentation about what they're working on, what they're looking at. You guys can ask them questions, but it's just a really, really solid way for us to get student voice and hear from the student body in regards to what their day-to-day looks like and some things that they would like to see. So the 2 candidates that are moving forward, and one of them is here with us this evening, is Gavin Flynn. We're very excited about him joining us. He is a student at Sharando High School, and we will have a little profile to read for you guys at the December 16th meeting. And then we also have Isabella Collegeman. She's actually attended the last 2 school board meetings. She was the lovely lady that was sitting in the front row with her mom, and she is the other candidate that is moving forward. She's a student at Millbrook. So those are the 2 students that we're moving forward for approval, and they will go before the board with your recommendation on December 16th. So I'll answer any questions that you have. And as I mentioned, we do have the resume. That's a little tricky because it is a student record, so that's not something that we could have posted publicly. But you guys can take a look at that, and then we will also provide you guys any copies before the next meeting if you would like to see that. So that's where we are, and open any questions you had.
Any questions from the board? Okay. I move the committee forward the names of nominees for the student representative and alternative student representative to the full board with a recommendation for approval.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, just one brief thing, Gavin, and I hope you're okay with me just kind of saying this to you out in the audience. I will be gone by the time you guys start in January, but I want to give you guys 2 important pieces of information to think about. First, I'm thankful that you're coming from the Superior High School. That's how Warriors roll, so good for you. And the other piece, please make it a point, and share this with Isabella as well. Please, please, please make every effort you possibly can as you go out and you talk to students. Please seek out kids who, really young adults, please seek out people outside your circle. Seek out athletes, seek out our technology kids, seek out the kids who don't want to participate and they're quiet, seek out kids in the fine arts. Go out of your way to gather feedback and opinions from groups of people who are very different than you. And the reason I want you to do that is it will make you a better voice for everybody. It will enable you to be able to say, I truly do represent hundreds and hundreds of students from 3 different high schools. And I also think it will make you a better asset to the board. So that's just one positive admonition from me to you. And congratulations, by the way.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It will go to the full board for approval.
All right, well, that concludes our instruction committee meeting this evening. I'm happy to entertain any additional questions if you have them.
Are there any additional questions from any of the board members? Hearing none, is there a motion on the table to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn our meeting.
Second?
Second.
A motion has been made to adjourn and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned ahead of time.